Hi, everyone. This is Dawn Richard, also known as The Awakening with Dawn, and this is the Wake Up to Real Love podcast, where we share stories of struggles and triumphs in love, sex, and relationships, along with expert advice to create more conscious connections. I am so glad and honored and happy and excited today to welcome my friends, Jayme and Tony Williams. They don't need an introduction because they're so amazing. They're just this beautiful, loving, growth-oriented, spiritually minded, beautiful couple that show up in their full authenticity and truth. And they're just a joy and a pleasure to be around. So I'm happy to share this podcast with my friends, Jayme and Tony. Welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for having us, Dawn.
Yeah, it was so cool when I met both of you in person. You know, Jayme and I had been friends online for almost 2 years or so.
Yeah.
When we met last year at that retreat. And then Tony came along for the ride before we started the retreat. And it was so nice for me to witness you two as a couple. You know, I mean, I knew Jayme pretty well. And then to see your partnership, I just, kept looking at you with these like eyes of love and my sparkles in my eyes. I'm like, oh, they're such a beautiful couple.
Oh, thank you. I find it that I feel very fortunate that I can bring Tony out with my girls and he could totally hang.
Yeah.
And Tony can bring me out with his boys and I could totally hang. Tony's favorite word is malleable. So we're both malleable like that.
Yeah, it's great because a lot of times you can't, or there are only certain people that you can bring them around, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is one of the beauties of your relationship is that you're so free to just be who you are in each other's presence. I mean, that to me is a huge gift that you give each other.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a journey, really.
It has been a journey because you guys have basically grown up with each other. You guys met when you were very young, right?
20 years. Yeah, 20 years.
Yeah, so it was just before my 23rd birthday. We got married and Tony was 28. We got engaged the weekend of his 28th birthday in Spain. So
after only dating for how long again?
A month.
I mean, could you imagine back then, like when you look back, do you go, oh my gosh, we were crazy? I mean,
well, it's an interesting question because I don't know, maybe it was a couple years ago, we finally watched our wedding video. It was on like a cassette tape, so we never really watched it because we had to have it transferred over to digital.
Uh-huh.
And so I was really expecting to watch that video and see myself nervous or maybe apprehensive. And I was completely confident. Like, I had no doubt that this was the right choice. As soon as I saw myself, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, okay. Like I can remember feeling that way, like just that it was absolutely the right thing. I was in the right place.
Yeah, and same for me. I feel that it was meant to be, and I'm one that usually makes decisions slow. I prefer to contemplate and evaluate and look at all the different elements that can go into it. But I just felt that this was right. And I was 28. I was in London. I was independent. I declared that I'm going to be a bachelor for the rest of my life. And the world brings me this, amazing person.
Uh-huh.
And that completely changed my perspective and led us to where we are.
Yeah, it's really incredible. I mean, the fact that it happened so quickly, did it surprise both of you?
it just felt right. It just felt right from the get-go for me anyway.
Yeah, and just like it's a good question to ask my parents, right? Because of course, like, I go to school abroad in London and I come home ready to get married. But it didn't even surprise them, because when I would call back home to talk to them and I would talk about Tony, they noticed that there was something completely different in my voice. I spoke about him differently. Like, it was very, I think I just had that assurance that I knew that this was the right thing. It was more of a recognition.
I think it was a natural thing that happened, and when it's very easy, it flows well. Obviously, it's going to be a lot easier to make it work. And I found that that early in our relationship that it would be easy for us to get along. We did. We traveled together. We we hung out with friends, meeting new friends, meeting new family. Everything was just very fluid. I think that's key. I think it's key. You have to be able to, get along with a lot of the family and the friends, and I think that's key with us, is that we're able to, mix it up easily.
And Tony when we met, he had a very close-knit tribe there with him. He had like probably a dozen Kiwi friends that were all living in London. So hanging out with them, and I'm sure that if I didn't get along with his tribe, it would have been a completely different story. But that was one of the things that attracted me to him, is that all of the people that he surrounded himself with were just so pure-hearted. And I thought, wow, this is something really special. Like, he attracts beautiful energy to him, and that's hard to find.
Yeah, really. I mean, this sense of community that was important to you. I mean, and I don't know, Tony, if this was because you were raised in New Zealand, sort of in a larger community. Like, was that important to you to always have sort of a tribe around you?
Yeah, my culture is very tribal orientated, and we have like a brotherhood of, and we're so close. There's no space for inauthenticity. We're very loyal. All my friends around me are very loyal. They're good people, and I think it's just a reflection of who we are or who we want to be, and we choose to have those people around us. So they're good, authentic themselves. They're not trying to be anybody. They're not trying to impress. They're just trying to live. We're just trying to live a life and enjoy our life and provide some talents.
And they have fun,
gifts,
and they take the piss, and
very sarcastic.
They give each other a hard time.
They're a very sarcastic kind of culture, and we love giving each other a hard time, and we're very competitive. It's like a brotherhood, like brothers. We tease, we play, we go everywhere together, and
mess about.
Yeah.
And so Jayme, his tribe in London was just a replication of the sort of the tribe that he came from, and it was like you felt like a welcome member of the tribe immediately.
Yeah, I did. I don't think I was really in a place to judge whether I was welcomed or not. I just knew that it felt very organic, and I just really enjoyed spending time with them all. It was any moment that I got to spend with Tony I was just so thankful for, and then to be able to spend time with his friends was just icing on the cake.
Yeah, and they're still my best friends to this day too. So I communicate with all of them.
Yeah, I mean, we get 3 a.m. phone calls all the time because of the time change, and they're all together, and
Yeah.
yeah.
I've known them for years since I was a teenager, so it makes it a lot easier when you know people, you trust them, and they're looking out for you. And I think Jayme was welcomed in to the group because she was a good soul. She was you could tell. I think the guys could tell that she was a good person, genuinely interested, not just trying to, be another member of the tribe, but she had qualities to bring to the table too.
And so how have the two of you grown together as throughout these 20 years?
At different stages, at different paces.
You can tell us about your circular journey, because I'm sure it's not linear.
Well, we've always been partners in crime, so we've always worked really, really well together, whether that was, remodeling our home or taking turns with the kids, or, we actually worked together for 15 years, and
that's amazing. That's amazing to me. It is.
Yeah, so I think the majority of our adult lives together, I spent trying to keep up with him.
In what ways?
Because he has a lot of energy and he has a big vision, and he can handle a lot of intense situations and work through things, and he's a closer, and so he's really that driving force. And I've kind of, I spent a lot of the time just trying to keep up with I've always had faith in his vision, and so I was always his biggest supporter, and whatever I can do to help him, I was on it.
Yeah, and my pace was pretty strong, and I didn't really understand or acknowledge that Jayme was, sometimes struggling to keep up with me. And I would keep pushing and pushing, and she was always there, and she was always trying, but it would be tiring on her sometimes. I didn't really understand that because I didn't have a off switch or a slow down, or it was like, this is where we're going, this is what we need to do, and so I'm just going to do it. And I would have a path, and I would achieve it. And Jayme.
And so I would have these breakdown moments where it's like, I want so bad to do this, but I can't. I just can't. And it's a lot of my growing up has been learning how to communicate and learning how to identify my own emotions. And so when I would have a breakdown, I wouldn't be able to say, you're moving too fast, I need a break, or I need to slow down, or, can we just pause for a moment? It would just be it would be stress and anxiety that would surface. And I wouldn't know how to channel that. I wouldn't know how to allow that to flow out in a certain way. And so that would be where we would come across most of the conflict, is where I would just break down, but not really know how to identify. I would know that I didn't feel good, but I wouldn't know how to identify why I didn't feel good or what I can do to make it better. It was just, I was just broken down,
And so, Tony, were you noticing this?
Not so much, because she hides it well, other than the communication breakdown that we would go through. After a while, she started to take time to herself and work on herself, and take the rest that she needed to recharge. And I wasn't programmed that way as a kid. My dad was a go, 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 go. So I didn't understand that Jayme or someone else needed downtime to recharge. 'Cause my batteries were full.
You're like the Energizer Bunny.
We have like 2 young kids and we don't get sleep at night. He's like, why are you sleeping on the couch? It's Saturday morning and you have all this stuff that you could be doing. And I'm like, right. We have little ones,
Yeah, I'm up in the morning and I'm working on programs at nighttime and development until midnight or 2 in the morning. Then I get up at 6 or 5 and I work in the garden and I do all the stuff that I can do. And all of a sudden it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon and they're just getting out of bed. And I've already conquered
chilling
the
on
world.
the couch all morning. Yeah.
I've already conquered the world, and I've always been like that. So. And I thought
so that's
like
total
that.
like foreign to him,
right.
How we could just kind of have a lounge day. Like that was not, that's something that he had to learn to have a lounge day.
I was going to say, was that frustrating for you, Tony? You're like, why are you being so lazy?
Yeah, it was sort of frustrating because we lost a lot of, I felt you're losing a lot of productivity time within this time. And our life's so short, and there's so much to do, and lots of things to do, so we're losing time.
And Jayme's laughing because she's like, just be, dude.
Well, I didn't even know how to say that. I didn't even know the concept of just being. I was completely sold on the idea that we have to overachieve and overdo and overthink and be really busy. And I was in full autopilot mode because that was the only way that I can survive my daily schedule, between kids and work and household and.
Yeah, society, where we are in the large city, is like that. Everybody's stretched with their time. There's so much to do. And so little time. So unfortunately, we really don't take care of ourselves enough, and think about each other enough because we're doing so many things and pulled in so many different directions, and there's so many distractions that we feel that this is what we're supposed to be doing. This is what everybody else is doing, and we're behind the ball, so we've got to catch up. And so you constantly
we're pulled in all different directions, and so Tony and I we landed in a place where I was aside from work and managing kids, managing the household, I was doing volunteer work, I was serving on a board, and Tony was also involved in the community and he was serving on a board, and we just weren't even seeing each other.
Yeah,
and it was like we're serving everybody outside of ourselves, and
but each other,
serving ourselves,
yeah,
and each other. So we had to really take a pause, and
we really had to. It was a bit of a wake up call once it all kind of came to reality that we weren't. We weren't spending enough time together, and we weren't really a unit anymore because we developed our own lives. Jayme had developed her life and her circles, and she was doing things independently of me. So therefore, I was doing that on my side to keep myself from questioning, and unfortunately, we created our own independent lives, which took us in a direction away from each other, and we're at a point, at a junction, that we realized that this is happening, and we decided that that's not what we wanted. And
so, how did you change? How did you change to make your partnership a priority?
We quit the boards.
It wasn't easy for him to cut back on that because he was so used to he would have events every night of the week. And all of a sudden he was home. That was a big transition. Where I'm a little bit more of a homebody, so for me to be home, it's so nice. But for him, it was a bit of a transition.
yeah, I was heavily involved with the community, and all of a sudden, we decided that we would sell positions on these boards and in these capacities, and that we would spend more time together. All of a sudden, I've got this time on my hands, and I'm a little stir crazy. I feel like I need to be somewhere. I feel like I need to do something.
Do something.
Yeah. So I had to learn how to just kind of be present with the moment, and I found ways to occupy my time, and eventually it just kind of you start to sort of just pause and slow down and adjust. And that's, I think, one of the things with Jayme and I is we're able to adapt. I've always loved that word malleable, and I feel that's a big part of who I am. And I've loved that word since I was about 15 at high school. I learned it at high school, and I looked at it and I thought, that's an amazing word, and I love it. And it just really makes sense in a lot of things in life. And if you're able to look at any situation and adjust to any situation, not just be rigid, you can become more fluid with it. And we've been able to do that in these situations, which has allowed us to flow with a lot easier than instead of go into it with a plan and it fail.
Do you think? Go ahead.
Things don't always work out, the way that you plan. So.
Do you think that people even realize they're being rigid?
I think a lot of people are very unconscious of how they're acting. I know that I was very unconscious, and I had one situation which was really a gift. There was a woman that I volunteered with, and I was at the office, and I ran to go pick up some lunch, and I ran to do a couple of errands or whatever, and I ran into that woman a couple of days later, and she said, "Oh, I saw you the other day. I saw you the other day, but you looked like you were so focused on what you're doing that I didn't even stop to say hi. I didn't want to interrupt you." And I thought, oh my gosh, how sad, like I'm not even open to saying hi to my friends because I'm so focused and on what I'm doing. I'm completely not present. And so I think that a lot of people have been in that state, and it's really a sort of kind of a survival state, and this quarantine, I think, is allowing people to really evaluate and step out of that autopilot mode, step out of that overthinking, and really be able to come back to their center and start to be more present.
Because they can't be so busy when they're, Tony, you talked a little bit before saying, your business is actually, still maintained itself pretty well, but you're still not running around or going into the office and, having to come and go, right? So
he's working quite a bit still.
I'm working a lot at home. So there's projects I can always be doing, and
it's just a different vibe at home. During this quarantine for California, we've had a lot of rain. And so to work we have an office here at the house, and it has a fireplace, and
that's nice.
It's from one wall to the next of windows. And so you see the storm coming in, and with the fireplace, and the dogs are all cozied up in their beds. So it's a nice vibe. They'll probably work home a little bit more often, I think.
Yeah, I've been building the business to that point, to be able to be more, to travel more, Jayme, and just be more, I guess, enjoy life a little more. So
we started the business in 2004, and we really didn't take our first vacation until 2000. It was 12 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like we would take little weekend trips where my mom would watch the girls for us, but for that long amount of time, we never took a vacation because we didn't have the time, and every single penny that we made, we reinvested back into the business.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's time to enjoy. Take a step back.
Yeah. So how do you, I mean, I think this is the thing about the quarantine, and we were talking a little bit about it. It's like really forcing people, if they're conscious, if they're not, filling themselves with at-home distractions, rather than out in the world distractions. I mean, this is really a good opportunity for people to recognize, what are my priorities?
Mm-hmm.
What do I hold valuable? What's meaningful
Yeah.
to me?
Yeah, that's even one of the questions I pose to my employees. You're at home, you've got this downtime. I hope you're not just sitting on the sofa watching movies and playing video games, but are you furthering yourself? Is there something you would like to learn? Is there a book you've wanted to read? Is there something you wanted to do, a hobby? Find something through this time. So when you come out of it, there's more of you. You've got more to offer. You're ready to go, and you haven't just been wasting this time, because I think it's an opportunity for people to pursue things that they've been putting on hold maybe for a long time.
Because most people's excuse for things is, I don't have the time.
Right.
Right. And so now it's an opportunity for people to actually take the time that they would want to. And, it's not necessarily about staying busy. It's more about, how do I want to enrich my own life? How do I want to fill my own tank? When I'm out in the world and I'm running on empty because I'm so busy running around, what can I do? How can I make this time really valuable and nourishing myself and recharging my battery?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably difficult for people to adjust into that sort of state of mind, because they've been so go, autopilot. But the beauty about this quarantine is it's prolonged. So you're forced to sit with yourself. You're forced to, hey, you know what, go back to that book you picked up a few days ago, read it. You've got time to do that. So I think that this is really teaching us that there are other things that are actually important too, not just the external world, but myself. And
it's also giving us an opportunity to see how far we've come. I mean, last week when I was really hit with a tsunami of sadness, of collective sadness, it made me realize that all of the programs that I've rewritten, like none of those came through as a distraction. So, I didn't have anyone to blame for the sadness. I didn't try to step into controlling it. I didn't repress it. I didn't turn to TV or to social media. Even music, I couldn't even listen to music, which is a huge thing for me.
Yeah.
It was like I really just had to sit with that sadness, and it was really amazing to be able to say, wow, I'm fully allowing myself to have this experience, and no unconscious programming is creeping in to distract me from it. Wow, that's like a huge thing, because that unconscious programming, we know how easily it creeps in.
Yeah. I think
routines.
think that's challenging for everybody, is to really feel.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think because we're so busy and so externally focused a lot, we disconnect either, from the neck up, So we're either like disconnecting from our thoughts, or disconnecting from our bodies, or disconnecting from our hearts, and you know, and not really giving ourselves the opportunity to say, what is this about?
Right.
How is this challenging me? What do I need to learn? Or what were you going to say, Tony?
Yeah, be present with the moment. You know, every situation has an opportunity. You know, you can look at it as in dwell and demise, or you can look at it as, hey, you know what, let's contemplate, let's discuss, let's learn. I think you have a chance to sit with it, and that's what we all need. I think more of is being able to be present. You know, because you know we're the social world, work environment. We're so in autopilot. We're so pulled in so many different directions that we're not really present with maybe one thing or more things. And I think that's one of the things that I've really kind of started to appreciate over this, you know, journey that we've been going through is engaging 100% with what I do at the time. And if it's sitting, doing nothing, sit and do nothing.
And that's I mean, going back to the question of how we've grown up together, that's something that we really had to learn, because in the past, if I was feeling sad, I think Tony felt like he was to blame. Whereas now it's like I could communicate with him, like I'm feeling this energy, and he understands that it's just something that is passing through. It's not his fault. He's not doing anything wrong. He doesn't have to fix it. He can just, you know, allow me to have my space, or even hold space for that for me, and just let it pass.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys, we love to fix things, right? That we almost get in the way when we do that, because everybody has a process of, I guess, healing or learning, and we're all at different stages. But when we get in the way, where we think we've got all the answers, but a lot of times we just need to let it play out. You know, if you just let it play out and just be present, and just be present in the moment and supportive, like a good friend would. I think that's all we really need sometimes.
Do you think that a lot of men have difficulty with that because they're uncomfortable with what their partner is feeling? Like they,
definitely. I think we go through, when someone changes, there's an obvious unsettlement, maybe insecurity. There are ways that other ways that people feel when their partner, or you know, their partner is going through some sort of changes. So I think that I would imagine a lot of men or female would be unsettled if they saw changes in their partner, especially if the partner wasn't communicating with them what they're going through, and all of a sudden it was like they started changing. And you know, I have to take my hat off. Jayme's been very good at keeping me involved with her journey. You know,
but that hasn't always been an easy process for me, because like in my gene keys chart, my whole purpose is to be transparent. And usually, whatever your purpose is, that's your biggest journey.
That's your biggest challenge, right?
You are the furthest opposite as you can get. And so my entire life, I've hid myself. I've been so scared of other people's criticisms or other people's judgments that I've really not really shown who I was, like deep within. You know, I would always have just like a few friends, and those would be my trusted peeps, you know, and but other than that, I was very just kind of like, you know, just kind of in whatever role I was in at that time. And so for me to really open up to Tony, especially when I was uncomfortable opening up to things just within myself, just seeing it for myself, let alone
sharing
that and facing, you know, facing my own fears of having him judge me or having him say, oh, that's too crazy, I'm out of here.
Like that fear of rejection or abandonment.
Yeah.
So how did you overcome that? Because this is a big thing. I mean, I think that this is really common for many, many people, that we're really afraid to show up transparently, right?
Yeah.
Because we are afraid of that judgment or rejection. You know, I mean, there's a potential risk and vulnerability every time you express your truth. You know,
it was so difficult. It was honestly so difficult, because not only was it hard for me to come out of
you just froze, Jayme. Okay, sorry for that. There was a little internet wobble. So I just asked you, how were you able to overcome your own fear of expressing what was really going on with you?
Yeah.
Because this is important, because a lot of people are
and
afraid.
This is the importance of the dance of the relationship, because here I'm dealing with this wound of repressing my emotions and hiding myself. And then Tony's dealing with his own wounds. You know, he had been taken away from his mom at a young age. His dad left him for a bit of a time and with his grandparents. And so there was some weaving in and out of his younger years of being abandoned. And so my transitioning was kind of, you know,
triggering him.
And so it's a delicate dance. So it was kind of like I had to feel like I could trust him to talk to him, but then he had to feel like he could trust me to know that I wasn't changing too much. So it was kind of like a little bit of this back and forth. I think, I don't know when the moment was where we finally just went
and what is changing too much?
Well, Jayme did it I feel she did it quite gracefully over a period of years, where she slowly started to transition and change, and it allowed me to walk it with her. It allowed me to say, "Oh, I'm going to be okay. Things are okay," and I wanted to be that supporting husband and friend. So
how were you seeing her change?
Well, she was definitely changing from the normal routine and ways that we had been living for many years.
Well, I had decided that I wanted to work myself out of the business. So that was like the big kind of catapult. And I was really on a mission to understand what was causing me stress and how to relieve that stress. I was so tired of having anxiety, and I was so tired of feeling overwhelmed. And so I was really setting myself out on the mission to figure out, how do I live a life that's peaceful and harmonious?
I had felt that she was quite selfish through that time because she was spending a lot of time on herself. And the family was kind of still operating, to get me and the girls, but Jayme was off doing her own thing. I had felt that she was, a bit selfish in that time, but I realized that she needed to go through that too. And I felt that we would be better off in the future once she has sort of, figured it out.
Were you afraid that she would maybe leave?
I would say that
Jayme's nodding.
I wasn't really kind of, because I knew I'd be okay if that came to that. I knew I'd be okay. I knew she would be okay.
But that wasn't the question. My question was, were you afraid? Nice diversion, Tony. But were you afraid that she would leave?
I think I was afraid of the change. And it definitely allowed me to revisit my old wounds. It allowed me to really kind of acknowledge that, and I'd been working on it over many years, and I just had to trust. So at that point, I kind of just had to trust that things are going to be okay. Mm-hmm. And once I made that decision, then I let go, and I was able to support her and walk with her and be patient, and it was a lot easier for me once I let go. Once I, whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
How did you let go? Because that's a really hard thing, I think, for most people, because we have this sort of false sense of being able to control things, and we've seen in this quarantine that we can't really control much.
No.
I think the question, and I'm going to divert it this time, I think the question is, how do you not let go? Because if you don't cross that bridge where you let go, there's no freedom in the relationship, And so I think Tony and I were at this space where, I was very much in the journey of a seeker, and I'm sure that in the back of his mind, he's wondering if I'm seeking a different life. Mm-hmm. But once we kind of did that dance where it's like we build that trust back and forth, building that trust, and then we realize that we can give each other that freedom. And even if I give him the freedom and he totally screws up, that I'm going to be okay and he's going to be okay, and vice versa. Mm-hmm. And it's really a matter of trusting the universe and surrendering to the universe, surrendering to the process, because the relationship can't fully grow unless you give each other that freedom and that space to grow into. You can't really, your relationship can't expand unless you create that extra room to expand into. Mm-hmm. And so even though it's scary to let go of the control of that, if you don't do it, you're not going to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you don't let that person go when they need to, you're really holding them back, and they're not being their true self or their fulfilled self. Mm-hmm. And then they resent you, or maybe you resent yourself. Mm-hmm. So I think if I realized that I would be in a better place if I supported her, and regardless of what happened, that I would be happier with myself, knowing that I was allowing her to do what she wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And we are so much happier because we do have our own lives, our own things that we do. It's funny because when you're married, you're kind of joined at the hip, right? And you do everything together, and you've got your circle, your friends, and you've got your things that you do, and all of a sudden one of you changes. It's an alien, process, and it's scary, when someone changes, and who are their new friends? where are they going? And maybe they're not communicating. If they're not communicating, well, it can be quite threatening, I can imagine.
Why are you saying I love you to people online all the time? Our whole like sisterhood. It's like, are these people? You don't even know them.
Yeah, and Jayme went through a process of she's on her phone all the time, right? Nonstop on her phone all the time. And if you're not communicating with your partner, who you're talking to and things like that, I can imagine it would be uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's really important to communicate, the stages you're going through, how you're feeling with your partner, and I think it's important for the partner to be able just to be present with that, allow that person to go through that change. Doesn't mean they're leaving, doesn't mean they're planning some sort of, something different. Sabotaging it, yeah. One of the things for me, I think I was concerned about was, I've always been the protector, is what is she getting herself into?
Mm-hmm.
Is what environment is she going to be around that I'm unable to be there and help her or protect her?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's one of the things I think I dealt with, but trusting that she would be okay to go do her thing, and trusting that she could make a decision, and was something I had to let go of, because I felt I needed to be that protector for her.
Mm-hmm. And when you met us in Spain, did you realize she didn't need protection from us?
At that point, I had let go already. At that point, it was like, I'm taking that time to work on my schoolwork, and I'm just a fly on the wall when I met you girls, and it was only for a little while. And at that point, I'd already said, yeah, it's fine.
But that's the thing that I think is really interesting. Like, Jayme, when you were talking about, the relationship allowing freedom for the individual growth of each person, because I think when you are attached at the hip, you feel like, you want to be a part of everything that the other person is experiencing. But because each person has their own journey, because each person has their own evolutionary process.
Right.
I think the challenge is for the other partner, when they see their partner growing in whatever form or fashion, to just to try to stay present and really be curious. And ask a lot of questions about, oh, wow, I've been noticing this, and what is this about? And, why are you doing it? Not in an accusatory way, but, why are you feeling called to do this? What is compelling you? So then it's more an exploration into, hey, I really just want to find out who you are and who you're becoming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the curiosity is really good. I think now it's kind of like more entertainment. Okay, what alien civilization are you reading about today, Jayme? We were joking today about how life never will ever be boring.
Surprise, I have blue hair now.
Right.
So let me ask you, how has your new work, Jayme, affected your relationship with Tony? How has it affected you? First off, you can start with talking about, what you've learned about yourself, or sort of more of what your mission and purpose, and because you have done this full journey of, discovering more about who you are and how you want to show up in the world. So how has it affected you, and how is it affecting your partnership with Tony?
Well, I mean, just having my own healing practice has really helped me like become more of, I feel like, who I've always been. a side of me that I've suppressed for so many years just because I've taken on other responsibilities. And so it just allows me to, I think, just really be all the aspects of myself that I love and that have allowed me to grow into a more multidimensional human, you know? And so, and that in a sense has changed my life because I get to really live and embody everything that I do, you know? In terms of, I mean, Tony's just been really, ever since I launched my healing practice, he's been really supportive. And so it's been really beautiful to see how he's stepped into that supportive role, and he has been curious, you know. He's just, even just tonight while we're getting set up, he's looking at all my tools and playing with my crystals and, you know, like listening to the tone of the forks and stuff. So, and he allows me to tune him. And that's been a journey because it's like, it's really interesting. In training, they advise you not to tune your spouse because it's a little too close for comfort. But I find it so interesting. He kind of just falls asleep in 10 minutes. He's snoring on the table. Meanwhile, I'm journeying through his childhood, and I'm hearing 10-year-old Tony, you know, saying nobody's listening to me, and you know, 8-year-old Tony who's, you know, it's just really funny. Like we grew up on different ends of the globe, but you know, I didn't have the chance to know him as a little one. But I feel like being able to offer my own healing practice to him, I get to venture through those beautiful aspects of his younger self, which is really incredible, and hold space for little T and and shift that energy.
Yeah, help me understand things that it may reoccur that that I'm looking to, you know, to not necessarily control, but just walk through or hold space.
Understand.
Yeah, be present with it. A lot of times we try to just suppress things, you know, we push it down. We deal with some sort of anxiety that may have you know, may have played out in a wound earlier in your life. It comes back, and we never really understand how, you know, why are we repeating these circles, or why are we still dealing with these sorts of problems, you know? So it's allowed me to revisit where it began, and where it repeated, and where it became maybe part of a habit or part of a routine or suppression that I started at a earlier timeline. So I'm really, really proud of her, of Jayme's work and her passion and her input into it. It's you know, it's lovely to see her happy, and I just hold
shining
space for her. And I just hold space for her. Yeah.
And how, Tony, have you helped her heal some of her childhood stuff that she's carried around with her?
Well, I'm brutally honest. I'm right out there. If there's something to be said, I'll say it. And I think Jayme struggled with that earlier in our relationship. She would take it offensively, but it was more me showing a reflection, perhaps, of her. That I think these days she acknowledges it, and you know, that's the way it is, and So I think it's really helped her understand herself by me being who I am, and it's, you know, and
Yeah, it's a dance. So with us really growing up together and his ability to be brutally honest, I always thought I was so mean. Like I always thought like this aspect of him that was like this mean monster would come out, and I'd feel like kind of under attack and would go into defensive mode. And so over the years, what we've learned is that to be honest is okay, but you have to have compassion. And so that's something that Tony's really had to learn to embody, is that when he's being honest with somebody, to be really present with them and to be very compassionate and not to want to have control over the outcome of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that's kind of I think that's pretty common for men to want a certain outcome for something. And so for him to just soften up and be more open, and that honesty is good. It's great for communication, but
honesty with compassion.
Yeah, it's really important.
Yeah,
and surrender.
I had the honesty from, my father. I've always been that type of person, but I lacked the compassion. I lacked
it was
the
aggressive. It would be very aggressive at times.
I lacked the tact. I would just be out there, throw it out there at the worst possible time. And so I've learned that it's okay. You can still say it, but there's a way you can say it in a loving manner and a compassionate manner,
and not fake.
Not
because I think that's something that when I present this idea to my family about speaking to each other with more compassion, meaning like my extended family, some of the responses that I've got sometimes is like, well, what do you want me to be all like pissy and nice? And it's like, no, you don't have to be fake. You could be yourself, but just with an open heart and open compassion. And so that authenticity is incredibly important. But
when you're dealing with sensitive topics, like being honest with somebody, it's really important to acknowledge that what you're saying, what you may say, may hurt that individual. So say it in a way where it comes from a loving place. So I've learned over the years, the last 4 or 5 years, that by being present with myself, by being 100% with that person, that I'm able, and coming from a loving place. I think of being able to engage with that individual, my employees, people, my friends, more sincerely, to be engaged with them, to be more aware, more tuned in, and to have deeper conversations. I've always been a deep person, and I've always talked about reality, but I feel like now I'm doing it with more sincerity, because it's not just a talk, it's a conversation. It's more, I'm interested.
Yeah, and connecting.
Yeah, I'm interested. I want you to do well. I want you to be okay, because if you're okay, I'm okay. So.
Yeah, I think when both of you were talking, I just kept that compassion piece is, to me, like you can tell the truth. And I know some people say, well, I'm not going to sugarcoat the truth. It's the truth, right? Well, it's the truth from your perspective.
Yeah.
And you can also be kind. You can be kind with the intent to still be supportive and connecting, and inviting someone in, even in their pain and difficulty and struggle, as opposed to pushing people away.
Yeah.
Because I do think that when you are in partnership, you are mirrors for each other. That we all have these wounds and triggers and, things that we carry in us that basically block us from love, that make us feel insecure or doubt ourselves or, are afraid of being rejected or abandoned. And so, when our partner triggers us, it's these ways where we need to heal those things that happen to us so that we come to a deep acceptance and reverence for both ourselves, as well as for our partner.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. If there's a trigger, if there's something that makes you feel angry or responsive to it, like you want to react emotionally, then there's something you need to work on. Usually there's something within yourself that you need to work on because it's making you feel that way. It's a trigger.
Mm-hmm.
And partners have a lovely way of finding those triggers.
Push those buttons.
Push the buttons, right. But it's really a wonderful opportunity too to see, the things that maybe you need to deal with, And sometimes the honesty from another partner is love. They're telling you, they're showing you, I just hope that it's reciprocal, though. That it's not just one-sided. Somebody picking on somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So we both need to be, and we both have worked on ourselves. And we're better off for it when we do. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we really don't trigger each other anymore.
Yeah.
That must be an amazing environment that you create for yourselves.
20 years of lots of effort.
Yeah, it's, the hard work pays off, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it should get easier. People grow apart and they grow together, and I think it's a natural part of humanity. Mm-hmm. It's a natural part of organisms. We grow through different stages, and I think if you are aware and you're present with those stages that you grow, and there's adjustments. When Jayme was going through her journey, I had to adjust. I had to fundamentally change.
Mm-hmm.
I felt abandoned. I felt that's because I came from a family business and I wanted to create a family business, and I had created a family business. So all of a sudden that was changing, and
yeah, but he literally had to let go of his dream.
I had to let go of my dream, right? I had to, face my fears. I had to, so I think it's a difficult one sometimes, but I walked, I changed too. So I decided that it would be easier for me to change than to fight it. And keep doing my thing. I decided I was going to support Jayme, and I was going to walk it with her, and I would make up my decision, what I would do in the future. And if anything, it's made me a better business person, a better friend, better husband, because I've allowed her to have her space and I have my space, and we're two different beings. We do different things. I'm more active. I'm more sporty. I'm more social. And Jayme's got her own things too that she does. She's more social online. But and she's at home these days, which is lovely to have, because I'm home more often too now. Mm-hmm. So we're quite different, but we've had to kind of grow together. I think that's key. Is you go through your pains. I went through my pain with her change, but I knew we'd be okay. I knew I'd be okay. It's not like I was gonna die or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
You just gotta kind of go with it. I mean, when we first got married, I would think about, okay, when we've been married 20 years, like we will finally get to have our newlywed stage, because we skipped all that. We skipped the honeymoon, we skipped the newlywed stage, and And so here we are, and I feel like I've been 9 months pregnant for the last year and a half, just like giving birth to a new me, giving birth to my healing practice, giving, like, there's just been a lot of cycles of death and rebirth, and
Creation.
so I'm like, okay, when are we gonna get to this?
Now we're
When
quarantined.
am I gonna feel like, like that young bride and get back into the newlywed phase? Like, enough of this death and rebirth stuff. I'm tired of being 9 months pregnant. I thought the pregnancy days were over. But you just gotta go with it, You just gotta allow.
So what's the biggest lesson you want to teach your daughters about love and relationships?
That no matter what, you'll be okay. If you go into it with, you've obviously got to make good decisions. You've obviously got to make sure that your partner is you have similar likes and interests, so that you have things in common. But you also have to trust and let go and help that person grow and help, which helps yourself at the end of the day.
Yeah, for me, they have such different personalities, so I would teach them different things. For my oldest, I hope that she can learn the importance of forgiveness, and just really understanding that everybody's human, and not so much taking things personally, just really being able to forgive. And then my youngest, the importance of communication and being open, because she has a tendency to be more quiet like I was. And just teaching her that it's okay to, that it's safe to speak what you're feeling. It's so important.
We all go through different stages, and we all learn and evolve at different times, so that advice may be different in 3 years.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah, but even Jayme, when you were talking about creating that sense of safety, it starts with that, creating that for yourself, right? Which I know that's part of what you were struggling with, and being transparent and expressing yourself, is like really feeling safe to say, you know what, this is who I am. And I need to honor that. And, of course, maybe what I do will affect you in a negative way, or I'm not sure how this will affect you, but I just know that it's something that is inside of me waiting to be birthed.
Yeah, that creative process is so important.
I mean, just like your business, Tony.
Yeah.
I think we all have to look at what we want to do with a passion, and you can find passion in many different ways. And with Jayme, she's found her passion and things that she likes to do, and with my business, I've found passions and wins that I enjoy, like mentoring the staff and coaching, and you kind of find yourself, realize who your path or your journey is. It's usually right in front of you. Sometimes you just can't see it, and as soon as you take a step back and you realize that you've been doing it all along, it's really fulfilling.
And plus, I think it's really interesting, to see your partner grow and evolve. It's like, Wonder how they're going to show up today. Wonder what's going to be new and different. Wonder what things that they've discovered about themselves, so that you don't ever take each other for granted and think that, oh, you know everything there is to know about the other person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's, you don't want to be controlling and dictate what happens. We're all individuals. We need our own lives and our own stories, and it's very interesting to watch, it unfold. And you don't want to have a partner. I mean, maybe you do one that's exact opposite or exactly like you.
That'd be boring.
That's up to someone. Yeah, I mean, everyone can decide what they want, but I'd rather have somebody that's more individual. That's themselves. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because it's really boring if we were the same. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and plus, I think too, when you create that sense of safety and freedom for yourself, to be authentic and to honor what's right for you, then you also extend that same ability to your partner. It's like, I'm giving myself permission and I'm giving you permission, because we each have our own journeys, and I'm just here to walk beside you, while you're on your journey, and be a witness to you and love you and support you through it.
Right.
Yeah, and that was really the hardest thing for me to do, because I was on the Tony bandwagon. I was very much on his journey, and for me I had to write it in a letter and just read the letter with my voice shaking, that I've got to get on my own path. I have to get on my own bandwagon. And not only was that scary for me, because it's been quite comfortable, even though he's been hard to keep up with. He's also been my protector. And
I was going to say, maybe he created an easier way for you to hide.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. And so it's difficult going out on your own and starting your own path. But now that we're established, our paths are still very much together, but we also have our own space.
Mm-hmm. And then I think that just creates bigger possibilities and a bigger world for the both of you. I mean, I one thing I like to say is, not you complete me, or 1 + 1 = 2, but 1 + 1 in each in their wholeness creates like this infinite possibility and potential, right?
Yeah.
It's just like both of your worlds have the ability to expand so much more.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, it's not one or the other.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Makes it far more interesting. Yeah. I'm still very much involved with my work, and I love it. I'm good at it, and I'll probably be doing it for as long as I can.
Mm-hmm.
Jayme will be doing her thing, and we still come together and have these conversations because we're interested in each other's space and what they're doing and what they're learning. We're supportive, and we're going through different learnings, but we're still evolving as people, as humans. Still participating, and it's interesting when you have two different dynamics.
Mm-hmm.
And it almost makes it easier in a way, because you get sometimes a vacation from what you're stuck up in, caught up in.
Every day.
Yeah.
I need a distraction.
Right.
So how do you both define real love?
I think you feel it. I think it's just you know it. I think you just know it. It's a loyalty. you feel the loyalty, you feel you trust the person, and you just feel it in your body that that's easy. You know, it's easy to walk this path with this person.
It's enriching.
Yeah, it makes you a better person.
Yeah. For me, of course, it's all frequency, right? So it's just, your heart guides you to where you need to be. And when you show up into those spaces and you get introduced to new people, there's just a frequency, like chemistry, and that's not even limited to partners. It's friendships, it's family, it's some stranger on the road that you can really offer love to them without even doing anything, just holding that presence without them even knowing. It's limitless.
Being loving and experiencing love is limitless.
Yeah.
Which you two are a beautiful example of that.
Thank you.
So Jayme, do you want to tell people a little bit about what you do and how they can get in touch with you if they're interested in getting your amazing healing, which I've experienced? Sure. Lots of peace.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so my healing practice, it's pretty much holding space for my clients to explore the soundtrack of their life. And with my tuning forks, I tune into their auric field and sense into what's going on at different stages, and we're able to connect the dots on if there's any patterns, if there's any stuck energy, if there's anything that needs to be shifted or just brought back into balance, then we're able to do that in the session. And I researched healing different modalities for 3 years before I moved into this, and it's something that I just feel very resonant with because it's so efficient and powerful, but it's so gentle and it's just beautiful, and it's really a co-creation between myself and my client, and creating that space where they can go on a little journey, and really find the beauty. That's really the ultimate goal, is to find the beauty within and really allow that to come through, and allow the brightness and the light that they're holding within to come through. So, yeah, my business is called Sacred Vibrational Therapy, and so if you just Google that, my website will come up, and my Facebook and my Instagram are both Sacred Vibrational Therapy. So you could follow me or
come have an appointment, because you'll be amazed at how wonderful you feel afterwards.
Yeah, during the quarantine, I've done all distant sessions, and I've had a few clients that come for in-person sessions, and some of them drive about an hour away, and I'm always like, I could do it at a distance. And a lot of them are like, no, we want to come. And so now that we're in quarantine and they've had the opportunity to have a session at a distance, they're amazed at how much it's the same. There really is no distance between us.
Yeah.
We're all operating under the same network. We have full access to each other, with each other's permission. And so it's really astounding how that works. So yeah, I have clients all over the world, and it's amazing.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So sacred vibrational therapy for Jayme, and then your marketing company, Tony, you want to tell them if they need any marketing help?
It's a cloud company and professional managed services. So we're located in Los Angeles with a data center in LA, and we provide all the IT services for businesses, medical companies, hotels, and all sorts of businesses. So when a company wants their IT infrastructure managed, we manage it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so marketing was just a small component of what we did, but mostly it's like the infrastructure.
Infrastructure.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the name of the company again?
It's called globalit.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
In case people are interested, you never know. Well, you two are a beautiful example of the balance of masculine and feminine. The divine love. I mean, you're really a beautiful sacred union. So thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you.
And for any, for people who enjoyed this, I'm sure you will. There's so much wisdom and insight, and Jayme and Tony are so inspiring to me. I hope that I can recreate that for my next relationship.
And you will. It's already so.
And so please subscribe to the Wake Up to Real Love podcast and share with your friends. And if anybody would like support from me in creating more real love in your life, this is the work that I do. And you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at The Awakening with Dawn, and my website's coming soon.
Yay!
Yay! And as we've talked about, through Jayme and Tony's journey, even though it's a relationship and a partnership, the thing that I say at the end of every podcast is the most important relationship you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. And so when you take care of that first, then it's much easier to invite somebody else in and create something beautiful from it. So thank you, Jayme and Tony. I'm so glad that you guys hung out with me. You're amazing. I love you both. And
love you.
Thanks for being here with me.
Oh, thanks for having us. We love you, and we'll do anything to support your beautiful work. You're such a bright light in this world, and I'm really looking forward to watching this part of your journey and your passion just grow and expand.
Thank you.
It's really beautiful.
Thank you for all your love and support. Okay, so listeners, every day wake up to more and more real love. Take care. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.